Well, hello there, and welcome to another one of these funny little things. I have got a big list of questions that I'm going to tackle right now without further ado. Well, I must tell you this before we start. Phil, the producer, is here, and he's brought an EMF meter. I'm reliably informed that an EMF meter registers electromagnetic frequencies, in other words, ghosts and orbs. Now, he's got a camera on this gadget, and if anything flies around like orbs, then it's going to pick up and he's going to tell me. So it's a kind of a ghost hunt edition of the podcast. But the podcast is questions, and here is the first one by Clive. Do you like Doctor Who? I don't. I used to like Doctor Who when I was a kid, like all kids do, but my Doctor Who was John Pertwee, and after that I didn't really like Doctor Who. So I think that was more about me being young. I used to like Spider-Man and Kiss, and not so much now. But John Pertwee I loved. I don't watch them anymore. I can't watch a Doctor Who and go like, oh, that fucking nailed it. But what I did like about John Pertwee, or maybe it was just because of my generation, was the fact that it wasn't set in space. It was set on terra firma. They were running around the Yorkshire moors with the Colonel and a bunch of Cybermen and stuff. And I like that. And I still, to this day, again, what came first? Doctor Who or my love of things happening on Earth? But I like monster movies that take place in New York, in fucking London. I want to know that, it could affect me. One of those things where I wonder what came first. I love black and white things. And I wonder what came first. My love of Newcastle United or my love of Kiss? Because that was all black and white, wasn't it? Don't like black and white movies, but I am digressing massively, and I'm sure some of you don't like me doing that. Balls asks, Balls, I love that name. Are there any venues that have closed down that you miss? Yes, there are venues that have closed down that I miss. JB's in Wolverhampton being one of them. I loved playing there. Just such a great bunch of people. And they would make dinner for you, and it was always the same dinner, and it was always really nice, even though it was just shepherd's pie and chips and stuff. They were really good at making shepherd's pie and chips. Never kicked you out the venue. If anything, they would have a lock-in, and you would have a drink with the owners, but they were never in a hurry to kick you out of the venue. That was my favourite hang. I used to always love going there and playing there. My other favourite venue, because of the actual venue and the stage and all the rest of it, was the London Astoria, which they closed down to make fuck all. And they killed that whole section of London, which was like Denmark Street and all of that. So people would go and shop in Denmark Street on their way to the Astoria. Loads of great pubs there that were always full of rock people. And Subway right round the corner. Tottenham Court Road or Oxford Street? Oxford Street, I think it was. But the actual venue itself, I used to fucking love that venue. Great stage. Again, lovely people, always well attended, fantastic dressing rooms, great history, and you could buy drugs there, which I can say now because it's not there anymore. But that was just all my favourite gigs in London have all been at the Astoria. I would say that I have great fond memories of the Town and Country, but the only thing that the Astoria had on the Town and Country is that the dressing rooms in the Town and Country are about half a mile away from the stage. But other than that, it's great. I forgot to put my little thing on, so I'm going to put them on now, and then I will be in my own head, roughly in the right time schedule, because I'm fucking hopeless at time. I'm hopeless at doing anything on time, but I am obsessed about it. Jason asks, how did Jorgen from Shining collab come about? That was Dante from our record label. We needed a sax player. We asked Mike Monroe. I don't think he got back to us. And he said, I know the perfect person. And he asked Jorgen, and my God, what a job he did. I'm a sax nut. I know a lot of people out there don't really like sax in their rock music. All I can say is I pity you. It's a bit like not liking bloody guitar solos, which I guess some people don't. I'm not a massive fan of. I'd rather a sax solo than a guitar solo, to be perfectly honest. Jason also asks, I seem to remember you had Nick Beggs involved in a new album, or was it a solo album? How did that come about? Yes, I had Nick Beggs. on my album It Came From the North, and the sister album that came with that. How it came about was I was recording this song and I just thought, who'd be great playing bass on this? Nick Beggs. And I figured we've got a kind of, three people removed kind of thing, with John Poole replaced Nick Beggs in Life Signs. And so I could say to Nick Beggs, hey, I know you, but I asked Nick Beggs if he would play bass, and he came back and he went, yes, straight away. So I don't know whether he knew me or he just likes working with people, but what a fantastic musician. He played Chapman bass and fretless bass and precision bass on one song. And that album hasn't come out commercially yet. So only you hardcore fans have heard it, but I forget what even song it was, because it's that long since I recorded that album. I honestly can't remember what's on it. But yeah, that's how Nick Beggs came about, because A, he's brilliant, B, I needed a brilliant bass player, and C, he's fucking lovely. And there you go. Rich asks, do you record with an actual amp or use virtual tools? Thoughts on modern recording tech? It's funny, we're just having this conversation with Phil that I haven't got a clue about modern recording tech, but I am very, very impressed with people that are experts. I love watching experts like Jim Pinder and like Phil himself with this operating technology that is way beyond my scope of understanding. I'm just sitting there with the popcorn and I just enjoy the fuck out of it. So yeah, but I do use an actual amp when I'm recording. I like to know that there's some volume coming from somewhere. It's a bit like, I don't like CGI gore. I think it's something to do with that kind of, I like it to, someone's getting annoyed. It's annoying a neighbour somewhere kind of thing. Also, I like to stand in front of the speakers and get feedback. It's a great effect that you can't get if you record, as they say, in the box, which means doing everything in a computer. But doing things in a computer has got tons of benefits. A, because it's portable and you just record anywhere. And also it's quick. And in the studio, if you're on a budget, quick is king. So yeah, I do use computer amplification, but I prefer and always will use, there's another beep. Is that a beep? More ghosts? Oh, we got a ghost. We got a fucking ghost. Let me know if the beep and an orb happens at the same time. Let me know that, please, in your comments section somewhere in the world. Rich H also asks, as he has a few questions on my bit of paper. Do you write riffs, songs on acoustic or electric guitar? Well, the truth is, I write them in my head. I know that sounds very simplistic and a little bit glib, but I do write all my songs in my head. If I come home and want to just record it on my phone so I can remind myself or play it to other people, I always record on acoustic guitar. My reasoning being, if it doesn't sound good on an acoustic guitar, it's got no value. If it sounds good on an acoustic guitar, my God, it's going to sound good on an electric guitar. Writing on an electric guitar, it just invites a lot of kind of, just papering over the cracks. Everything sounds good on an electric guitar. Everyone's a better guitar player on an electric guitar. So I think if I can just pull up the acoustic guitar and sing the song to someone, it's a good song. That's my reasoning behind it. Not that I think there's anything wrong in writing and stuff on electric guitar. Just not my thing. I'm old. What is your routine like on a gig day? Is it hard to come down post-gig? These days, I find that it's just a matter of eating up the day, which is great because I have Maggie with me, so I can always go for a walk, just get in the vibe. Is it hard to come down afterwards? Kinda. If I'm going to have a drink, I have it after the show. And in which case, it is nice to come down and, if someone's got a spliff, I'll have a little bit of spliff. But before the gig, it's all about getting to showtime. And I don't always do sound checks. So I just busy myself doing whatever it is. There is no set way that I do it. I just, reading, watching a movie, going for a walk, anything to just get myself in the zone. And then before we go on, which is a relatively new thing since Carol started doing this, she does breathing exercises. And we'll all get in a circle and do a breathing exercise. And since she's doing this, I haven't had a bad gig. Things that went wrong, but I haven't stormed off and I haven't completely ruined the viewing experience for anyone else. I've just had a shit gig myself. And also get ready. I've got a thing about, back in my day, people got ready to go on stage. I know now it's just, you pull yourself out the pub and get on there and you're supposed to mean it, man. But in my day, you got ready to go on stage. You're charging people money to see you play. You want to give them at least a little bit of effort. And so a good hour before I go on stage, I'm getting ready. I still wear makeup to go on stage. I believe that if I just slobbed myself onto stage from a pub, it would be dreadful. So, doing the makeup, putting some music on, I like to do that. I like to take my time to get my clothes on and be ready a good 15 minutes before we get on stage. So that's my little routine. I look in the mirror and listen to music and breathe with Carol. I heard you say that you sabotaged the chance of greatness with the Wildhearts. What happened? I didn't. I did. Sabotaged greatness. Only because PHUQ didn't come out as a double album and I thought it should be a double album. It really ruined my romantic view of what the music industry can do for artists. I used to think that if you're a good artist and you're with a good label, it just goes great. And it doesn't. There's a lot of power play, a lot of bullshit. It all involves how much money did you make us, and it's rarely anything to do with the art. And so that side of it is mine. And the business and the art, never the twain shall meet, which is good because they've got nothing to do with each other. But after finding out that the record company could tell me that you want to make a double album, fuck you. It dislodged my idea of what this business was, what having a record deal was. And I started to think of a record deal as being a little bit of a prison sentence, albeit with nice meals. But so that derailed me completely from my romanticized view of what was going to happen in my life. And I guess that it installed so much anger in me, and that anger derailed my chances. It sabotaged my chances of doing anything apart from writing angry songs, which I gather some people like. But that was why I didn't do well, because I just hated corporates. And therein lies the story. If you don't like corporates or you believe in what I say, don't get involved in them. I keep telling my eldest son, I want a record deal. You don't want a record deal. You don't want a record deal. You want to learn how to do things independent. And then when you learn how to do things independent, then get a record deal so you know what the fuck they're doing to help. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of people wanting money from you, whatever the personal cost to yourself. I've got a second bit of question from Nicholas Olsen, who asks, this is a bit random, but what's your favourite type of food and do you like to cook? Well, fortunately, I can cook my favourite food because my favourite food is wine and steak. I like nothing more than a fucking big ribeye and a lovely glass of good, bold red wine. And I'm awesome at cooking steak. In fact, I've bought steak all around the world in restaurants and they never do it the way I like it done. So yeah, I wouldn't call myself a cook, but I'm very good at making things. Usually I make things for me and Mackie, but normally it's a steak and I'll cut it in half and give half to Maggie and I eat half, and she doesn't get any wine, she gets water, and I'm very, very good at that. Are there any plans to release any more of the acoustic albums or shit? No, because again, and the whole thing about being an independent musician, a lot of the times you're just doing things because you need to pay the rent and the mortgage. Life was very expensive when I was doing those acoustic albums or shit, and so I was having to work hand to mouth. So we would work once a month, literally Monday to Wednesday, and then we put it out on Bandcamp on the Friday, and we could pay the rent. I love doing them, and I think they're great, and I would like to do them all. I think there was 4 in the end. I'd like to do them all as a box set, but I can't convince anyone in the world that that's a good idea, so it still hasn't been done. Last question is the most memorable gig you've ever done. I've seen you solo, Wildhearts. Was it the birthday bash, our gig in Sweden with Maria McKee? Oh, I'm glad you remember that one, Nicholas. I don't have any favourite gigs. The next favourite gig is the next one. My favourite gig is the next one that goes really well. There's been some gigs that I remember, not because they were my favourite gigs, but because, like Download, for instance, when they pulled the power because they thought we were going to incite a riot. I wouldn't say that was the best gig. In fact, it all turned out like that because we didn't have enough songs. And when this kicked off, I was just, we'll stoke the fire a bit because we're going to struggle to think of 45 minutes. But that was a great gig because of how it went from nothing to fucking everybody involved. And yeah, it felt a little bit dangerous, especially to the organisers. But to me, I was brought up on dangerous gigs. When I used to go to gigs, part of the gig would be it was fucking dangerous. There was a vibe there. And there was a vibe here, but I know fucking danger, and it wasn't any danger of anything happening other than someone accidentally hitting someone on stage with something that shouldn't have been thrown on stage. But I love the fact that they cut the power and we got to look like instigating troublemakers. I like that one. The gig in Sweden with Maria McKee, my fucking God. Well, I'm a huge Maria McKee fan, and always, borderline obsessive when I was younger. And I always wanted to meet her just to say thank you for the music. And I used to meet tons and tons of people. I know Maria McKee. Oh, please, can you get me to meet her? And they'd all be full of shit. But one person, a friend of mine, Maria Anderberg, said, I know Maria McKee. She turns up to my house once a year, and we have barbecue and sing songs around the fire. I'm like, yeah, whatever. And it wasn't until I went all the way to Sweden to her house and Maria McKee turned up. And I'm like, oh my God, this woman is not full of shit. In fact, she's amazing. I'm still great friends with Maria Anderberg and still occasionally keep in touch with Maria McKee. But the strangest thing about this, I mean, I was fucking really starstruck when I met her. So much so that I forgot how to play the guitar. And I was trying to play along to songs that are in my DNA and I couldn't remember any of them. So anyway, we went along to this gig, which was held in the woods in Sweden. One of the most picturesque, beautiful locations I've ever played in. And they asked me to get up and sing Rockin' in the Free World by Neil Young, a song I don't really like. I don't think it's a very good song, but I thought, I'll get up. Everyone's joining in. I think it was for charity or something. So I was like, I'll get up and sing. And I heard these backing vocals, these amazing backing vocals. I didn't even twig straight away, and I turned round, and it was Maria McKee singing backing vocals for me, yelping this fucking song I don't even like. Suffice it to say, I enjoyed the performance of the song. But I just thought it was bizarre that my favourite singer in the world would be doing backing vocals to my squawking. Mike asks, has there ever been a discussion about doing a smaller venue tour the WiLDHEARTS, with songs the WiLDHEARTS don't normally play? Yeah, well, there's been lots of discussions, and the answer has been no. Because I haven't always been with a lineup of people that want to learn new songs, even new songs that people want to hear, that you can do in big gigs. But yes, I always like the idea of learning a bunch of songs we've never played live before and doing small venues, no production, just turning up and fucking having it hard, dry and unprotected. And I hope to do that now because I've got a band of people who can learn new songs and can learn fucking hundreds of new songs, and it sounds like a natural thing for us to do. And yeah, I'd love to do stuff like that. Maybe, in the future, do a week where we do a different album every night. Again, we've got people that can learn to do that. So yeah, having a lineup of people who are A, musical, and B, really, really keen means you can do stuff like this and everyone doesn't go, oh, sounds like fucking hard work. So yeah, I think that would be a great idea, doing little venues. In fact, I've got a little bit of a chubby on about it now, just thinking about it. How do you go about choosing the order of tracks on an album? I don't. I give it to someone else to do. I fucking hate it. Same as set lists. I just give it to someone else to do. How significant is the order? Very significant. The running order of an album, makes the listening experience, especially over a course of a few listens, bearable. I've got a few albums that I love, but they're just, what the fuck is that track doing at number 3? So I tend to know the first song, maybe the second song, I know the last song. The rest of it is just up to experts, people who are good at this sort of thing. You'll find that if it's something that I don't enjoy doing, I'm probably not very good at it, and I'll always give it to experts. Rob Skit asks, do you write specifically for an album, either the WiLDHEARTS or solo, or can be a stockpile of songs? Also, will Teeth get an actual physical release? Yes, Teeth will get a physical release. I just don't know when, because that means working with other people, and sometimes working with companies who want to release records isn't as easy as it might look. Do I write specifically for an album? I only write for an album. I don't have a stockpile of songs. I never have. People say, why don't you release all the songs you never record? There are no songs I don't ever record. I write 10 songs for an album. If it's going well, there'll be more than 10. But I only ever write to order. So when I've got an album, it goes like this. And I've said this a few times, but it goes like this. You get one song and you go, oh, that's a good one. You get 2 songs and you go, oh, got a single. 3 songs, shit, I'm pregnant with an album again. And that's the way it always goes with me. 1 song doesn't count. It means nothing. 2 songs, oh, God, this is fucking going well. 3 songs, I need 10 songs now. And I literally write 10 songs. And that's normally it. The new album that we're going to be doing with the Wildhearts has already got 12 songs, and I think it's going to end up about 15. That's not by design. That's just because things are going well. I'm inspired and I'm writing a lot. The 555 project, asks Rob, with its hyped pledge concept and associated progress videos, was a very exciting journey to take your fans on. I agree. I like the fact that it was almost a real-time peek into what goes into making an album, and I would like to copy that for the next Wildhearts album. I want to take you all behind the scenes. The good thing about this one is we've got some really interesting characters in this band, so it will be a really good study of what goes into making an album. But I would like lots of behind the scenes footage from conception. Well, not conception, because that's the writing the songs, and I've already done that, and there wasn't any cameras around. But the band are coming to mind to learn the songs and write and arrange, and I want to start filming that. The 555 project, yeah. As a fan, I used to look forward to the next installment of the 555 soap opera very much. Yeah, me too. Rob also asked, what made this project so magical, and what memories do you have of this time? Being able to do so much behind the scenes stuff was fantastic. Working with the musicians that we worked with was fantastic because we had everyone there. We had Fife Ewan playing drums, we had Victoria was singing, Chris Catalyst, Rich Jones, John Poole, Denzel. It was a really good cast of characters. Even Rich Battersby and CJ got involved at one point. But what was magical about it, and what memories I have, was I was absolutely skint when we started. Skint, as in I couldn't afford a bottle of wine. And me and my then partner used to look longingly at the wine section in Asda and say, one day we're going to buy a bottle of Chateauneuf de Pape. And it was just, like me saying, one day I'm going to have a private jet, because that's how far Chateauneuf de Pape was from our budget. And the first 100% that went in there, well, this is going to go well. When it reached 200%, I ran to Asda and I bought us a bottle of Chateauneuf de Pape. Still to this day, one of the nicest bottles of wine I've ever had. And I think it was the occasion that was nice, and not just the wine, because I've bought it ever since. And it's fucking horrible. The Asda version is horrible. Chateauneuf de Pape is lovely, but for some reason, Asda sell this fucking weird vinegar version of it. So yeah, that is my memories of 555.